Hello, I am making a night video on the Kenny Redwood tablet because I have this one here in my bed right now. The other one is upstairs. Paul is going to sleep with Dave, and I had a couple of thoughts before and while I was brushing my teeth earlier today, and I wanted to definitely make a video about this, and this whole thing would be probably faded away by tomorrow, so I decided I'm gonna talk about this briefly now. I have my disco light on, and it paints different colors into my face, but it's okay. It looks kinda cool. I like it. So anyway, I wanted to talk about the word forgiveness. Forgiveness is an obsolete word, and it's definitely gonna be discarded, and it's gonna go into a museum within the next couple of years, I assume, hopefully, or maybe later. But anyway, these are very important thoughts about this. And Teal Swan talked about this as well, and it makes me smile because so many things that she says in her seminars are thoughts that I already harbored myself for many, many years, and it makes me snicker sometimes when I already see her uneasiness with certain words that people will use that are sitting next to her, and that make her cringe just like they make me cringe at the same time, and have been for a long time before I ever heard her talk about this. So she recognizes a lot of those things that I recognize as well. And it feels good that I feel confirmed. I feel like there's someone else who thinks like that. I'm not the only one. But I don't necessarily have to be confirmed with this, because I just know. I just know that there are certain words that need to be recycled completely. I just intuitively feel it. So, and forgiveness is one of those words, and I talked about this to friends for years, and they looked at me shocked. They looked at me like I'm out of my mind or something. Like they cling to forgiveness, it's like an emotional attachment, and the reason why is because it's a mega act out. It's a neurotic act out. It's exactly what Teal said. It really makes people feel like they're good if they forgive someone. But what does that mean? Forgiving. For and giving. I give something for. But what am I giving? I'm giving something ahead of time. I'm giving someone basically the right of way, even though they did something very wrong. So I'm letting someone not take responsibility for their actions. That's what it really is. And it doesn't matter if that person is dead or in the physical or non-physical or wherever they are. If if I tell them, hey, you don't have to take responsibility for your actions, it's all okay what you did, then I'm not helping them resolve their issues. Okay, I'm just gonna give in to their act outs. That's what I'm doing. For my own act outs. It's my own act out to let someone go ahead with their act outs. That's what forgiveness really is. Earlier, when I was sitting on the toilet, I had this really great title for this video, and if I don't write these things down right away, then they elude. I'm trying to recall now, even though I'm tired, I'm trying to recall what it was. Forgiveness equals... I forgot now what it was, which word it was. It was so important. I should have made the video right away about this. Maybe I'll come back later. What it equals. It definitely equals taking away people's responsibility for things, and that's not good. It's an act out. It's going into delusion. It's going into a make-believe world. Like Teal Swan said, the word comes from religion. Before she said that, I thought that it comes from Christianity, but maybe it comes from many different religions, or religion in general. And because I only hear Christians talk about forgiveness, but maybe there are other religious people, other religions, who use this type of concept of letting someone else not take responsibility for their actions and saying it's okay what you did when it's really not okay. That doesn't mean I stay stuck. With that emotionally. No, I stay stuck with something emotionally, or I make even other people stay stuck with something emotionally. If I forgive, this you can have I forgive you, I give you forward. It's very interesting how the German translation comes into this. I give you forward. I forward stretch myself. I stretch myself a bit out of proportion to give you forward. I stretch myself. I stretch the whole reality forward so that you can keep your act out and you don't have to take responsibility for it, sort of, And it's very interesting because the German direct translation for the English word forgiveness is Verzeihung. Verzeihung. Ich verzeihe dir. Ich habe dir verziehen. I forgive you. I forgive you. Ich verzeihe. I is ich and forgive you. Verzeihe dir. Zeihe, or in the past tense, verziehen. Ich habe dir verziehen. I have forgiven you. Verziehen becomes more clear where this word zeihe or ziehen actually comes from. It comes from a real old German, which actually means I'm pulling something. Ver means out of proportion. I'm pulling something out of proportion. Interesting, isn't it? interesting. If you dig deeper down into linguistics, you find some very, very compelling things that are telling all kinds of stories about the wordings and words we use and why we use it and how obsolete they actually are. So forgiving is like pulling something out of its alignment, out of its proportion. I'm I'm pulling something into distortion. I'm distorting something. I'm distorting the truth. I'm distorting the truth if I let the other person not take responsibility for his or her actions. That is almost like a cesarean birth. You don't give the baby the chance to make it out on his own or her own. It's actually very traumatic, a cesarean birth, because the baby needs this physical pressure from the birth canal, and it needs this muscle movement and its own muscle contractions and work, and the muscle work together with the mother of propelling its way out, and not have the mother be cut open and the baby yanked out and bypassing this entire process. It's very traumatic. It causes this entire birth process to get out of alignment. Same with me forgiving someone and saying it's okay what you did when it really isn't. It's not okay. In the same sense, I'm not forgiving myself either for certain things that I have done wrong, even though I didn't know better technologically at that time, and I was in a horrible, twisted mental state that I hurt someone's feelings or something. I didn't know better, but I can say I understand myself or the other person or whatever. I can understand the person who did someone wrong. I understand myself when I did someone wrong. I understand where I was coming from or where the other person is coming from. I understand, I can see the picture from above. But that's different to this concept of forgiving. I can make peace with what happened in the past, with what the other person did or what I did wrong. I can make peace with it by understanding the entire thing, where we came from, in what mind state we were, that we didn't know better. But that's a completely different process than forgiving. Because forgiving means, oh, it's okay what you did. No, it's not okay. And it never will be. And there are things I'm in grief over for the rest of my life. Mistakes I have made. Not listening to this or that person. It will never be forgiven in the sense of distorting it out of proportions and giving myself the escape mechanism of escaping from taking responsibility for it. No, that's wrong. But I make peace with the situation. That's a different thing. I can say, yeah, I crossed my arms like Dr. Kristen Neff suggests to do, and you say to yourself you didn't know better. And also Suma Qinghai talked about this as well. You didn't know better. Teal Swan talks about it as well. Many people are talking about it. Many Buddhist scholars talk about it. You have to make peace with yourself. You have to say, yeah, you didn't know better, but now you know better. You're never gonna do this again. Okay. If you forgive yourself and say it's okay with you, then you might do it again, because you kind of talked yourself out of taking responsibility for it, and made a justification, or made an excuse, or said, oh, it's okay what you did. No, it's not okay, and there's no justification for it. Not a justification. To make it just. It cannot be made just. Because if you try to make something that's not just into a perceived just thing, then you have pulled it out of its proportions. Then you have done the forgiving, the fat sign, the distorting, the pulling something out of its alignment, out of its true proportional cohesiveness, out of truth. So you can't do this. It's very important for me to make this video, because by tomorrow this whole thing would have faded away, and then I would have lost the train of thought. So I want to really capture this whole thing. Very, very, very important. Very important to that thought that I had about the German translation of it, because that brought a lot more clarity into it. So we have to take responsibility for our own actions. That doesn't mean we have to beat ourselves up. That still means we can make peace with ourselves and with our past. Not with what we did, but with ourselves. Having done these things wrong, not the wrong things, but understanding ourselves, what happened and why and what circumstances. That's not a justification. That just explains it in its causality, and that makes peace with oneself, because we can be in a bad mind state and make bad decisions, bad behavior. So we need to own it 100%. We need to own up to it, and we need to know that we were responsible for it. Even though we were in a bad mind state, we were still responsible to it, for all of these things. So I am responsible for the way I behaved in my life. If I tell myself I'm not responsible, then I'm not going to learn from the mistakes. I was very responsible for it. I'm very responsible for it. And I'm never going to make these mistakes again, because I'm responsible for it. So I'm not going to forgive myself or other people for certain things. It happened, and we need to learn from it. That's what mistakes are for, to learn from them. That means we have to take full responsibility for all of our actions. It's very, very, very important. I can't make these responsibility decisions and understandings for other people, but I really get it now for myself. So, and I want to share it. I have to share this with other people, because this is absolutely vital. Okay, you guys take care. Bye bye.